Hey, everybody, welcome back to another Motivation Monday podcast for Monday, July 29th, 2019. Hope you guys are doing well out there. Hope you've had a great weekend. Hope you're ready to get the week started off on the right foot. So, you remember that last week's Motivation Monday podcast was done in an empty classroom at the University of New Hampshire, and I actually just finished that camp yesterday. And it culminated with a great night of directing a full jazz ensemble of high school students from around the New England area and beyond. And it was just a great time all around. And every time I do this camp every summer, it makes me think a lot. It makes me reevaluate. I get to meet a lot of great students, and we kind of have a different experience every year, as you would expect, having a different group of students every year. And this year I had the pleasure of having just a fantastic group of students, both in my saxophone masterclass and in my big band. And one of the things that struck me about the concert last night was that I had just about every member of like a 20-piece jazz orchestra take a solo. And that was really wonderful. It reaffirmed my faith that this music is going to kind of live on. And it reaffirmed my faith in teaching, really, because I do teach a lot of high school age students. And sometimes they're very hesitant to play solos or do something that makes them a little bit uncomfortable. But this particular group of students was just very willing to put themselves out there and, play improvised solos and do some stuff that makes all of us, frankly, feel very uncomfortable at times, which is, jump into something new and then at the end of the week, put that new knowledge and that new thing that you're doing on display for a giant audience to hear you play. So I really started thinking about how sometimes as we get older and we're not used to being students anymore, we block off that part of our life where we're willing to try something new and, maybe sound less than 100% and show off our skills in a less than totally polished way. And this is one of the things that I love about teaching young students is they're totally willing to just do it, warts and all. And, there were really varying levels of players in this ensemble. We had some really advanced players that were clearly very used to getting up there and soloing. And then we had some other students where it might have been their first time that they ever played an improvised solo in front of, an audience. But the cool thing is that they were all totally willing to do it, and they were all very enthusiastic about it. And it started making me think about that phrase, like, you don't know what you don't know. And I think that that's a really good way to look at this facet of playing music, which is doing things that you're less than 100% sure about. So I'm thinking that a lot of these students, they probably haven't listened to as much jazz as a lot of the people that are listening to this podcast have. So they don't know that they're trying to live up to this insane standard of, some of the legends of the music. So they're much more willing to put themselves out there and much more willing to, let audiences hear the process that they're going through. And you have to remember that half the battle with jazz is being able to have the confidence to go up there and play at the level you're currently working with. These students, they don't live in the shadow of the great musicians of the world. And I find that incredibly refreshing. Because I certainly live in the shadow of my favorite musicians and I'm constantly comparing myself to them. And, that's a good thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm always trying to reach, the most elite level I possibly can. But yeah, it's just entirely refreshing to hear somebody just go for it with reckless abandon. And they're clearly not thinking about the million things that we might be, having listened to so many records throughout the years and almost like knowing what's possible. So that comes back to that, you don't know what you don't know. If you don't know, that it's possible to play like Chris Potter, then it's going to be a lot less stressful to get up there and show off your skills that obviously all of us are, not anywhere near that level. So, just an extremely refreshing experience. And also to hear them get better throughout the week, as they get more comfortable and they get more tries at the particular section they were soloing over, just developing that confidence and actually starting to say something through their horns. So I guess the moral of this story is to get up there and do your thing and try to think like a student, try to understand that you are not expected to live up to the level of the legends right now. I mean, that should always be in the back of your mind. You should always be trying to get better. And these students actually displayed that as well. They were constantly trying to improve themselves, but, don't be afraid to show off where you're at. And it's kind of a fun thing too, because if you do sort of document where you're at right now, you can go back a couple of years from now and hear how much better you've gotten. And that's a really fun thing as well. So think like a student more. That would be my biggest piece of advice for this week. And I just really enjoyed working with these students. It's always a really grueling couple of weeks, spent at this camp. And it's a lot of hard work, but then you go to the concert, you see how much fun these kids have, and you see the sense of accomplishment that they get after performing and doing a great job, and it really makes me want to keep doing this for a long time. So think like a student, think like a middle school student, think like a high school student. Put yourself out there. That's really what they did, and I'm really proud of them. And if any of them are listening to this, you guys did a great job this week, and it was a real pleasure working with you, and keep going on your jazz journey. All right, everybody. So I hope you get some time in this week. Hope you find some inspiration in this little chat, and keep things moving along. If you have any comments about anything related to this, make sure you drop them in the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Community Facebook group. We've gotten a huge influx of members over the past couple of weeks, and I think we're set to have some great discussions in there. And I will talk to you guys on Friday with a regularly scheduled episode. Have a great week, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.